Ever feel like you're constantly creating content but not making any sales? Here's how we're going to fix that by aligning your content to what you actually sell. So the first thing that we need to understand about this is that when it comes to crafting content that aligns with your product, is that you want to make sure that you actually have content that fits with the products that you are looking to sell. Whether this is product-based, service-based, you always want to make sure that your content that you're creating is actually aligned with it. Too often, I see clients that are creating content that have nothing necessarily to do with the content and the product that they are selling. So because of this, we see that their sales are not actually happening. So it's important that as we go through these simple strategies that I'm going to give you, that you start really thinking about and making sure you understand the product and service that you're trying to sell, the audience that you are trying to sell to, and the content that is going to correspond with that audience and the products that you sell. It's super important that when you are diving into aligning your content with the product that you sell, that you truly understand your product inside and outside. You have to know what the actual features and the benefits are of the product. Your audience is not going to buy because of the features of the product. They are going to buy because of the transformation. So you have to truly understand what the transformation is that your product or service provides them with, and make sure that you can clearly and concisely portray this to your audience. The clearer you can be about this, the easier it's going to be able to create the content that's going to be key in driving them to that product or service and understanding that it's the perfect fit for them. The second thing that we need to keep in mind is that you have to understand the customer. What is it about them that is the perfect fit for the product or service that you have created? You have to be able to align their needs to your unique value proposition that you have provided for your product or service. They, again, are going to be attracted to that transformation, and by understanding the unique value proposition, it's letting them know how your product stands out amongst others that could be similar. So it's very important that you go into creating your content understanding your audience, your customer that you are trying to sell this to, so that you can make sure that you align your content with that unique value proposition that you have determined for your product. The next step is to make sure that you define your content goals. What is the purpose behind putting out the content? Is it to build awareness, education, conversion to a sale? Understanding where they are in the customer journey is going to be extremely important for your content to actually work. So when we are thinking about this, you should be creating content that's going to build awareness. It's going to get them excited about what it is that you understand their problem and how to actually solve it for them. And then as we go along, you want to have content that's going to educate them, that's going to give them that understanding, that little bit of a transformation, so that you can then show that you offer the full transformation through your product or service. And then you're going to have content that directly sells, that shows testimonials, that's going to show the results that they can expect to see because previous students or clients have seen that. So as you're going through and determining the customer journey and making sure that your content aligns to it, it's going to be much simpler to be able to map that out and actually have a plan for your content. We're not willy-nilly throwing content up anymore. We have to have a plan in place. We need to understand where our customers are within their journey so that the content fits them where they need to. The next step is to be able to define your core content. And when we're talking about this, we're specifically speaking about content pillars. You should have 3 to 5 content pillars of content that you are going to refer back to whenever you are creating your content, so that your audience starts to see themselves within those pieces of content because you are making sure that you are solving the problem for them. So let's create an example for this. If we're talking about content pillars and you're a health coach that reaches out to perimenopausal women, and those are your ideal clients or customers, it's important that you determine what are the 3 to 5 content pillars that you're going to talk about. Are you going to talk about that it's necessary to have exercise, the mental health aspect, the hormones that actually are going to come into play with this? Those are going to be your content pillars that you are thinking about, that they are most likely searching for, and they are the problems that you are going to be able to solve with your product or service. So when you are mapping out your content, you're thinking about where the customers are within their journey, but also what type of content is going to resonate best with them, and you're sticking within these content pillars. The next step is to use calls to action that actually match what you were attempting to do. So if you're building brand awareness, your call to action is going to be very different than if you were trying to have a conversion to a sale. So when you were thinking about this and you were thinking about the type of content that you were putting out there, you have to determine what the right call to action will be, not only for the content, but also for the platform. We've talked in the past in great deal about the fact that social media works differently than a blog post, than a podcast episode, than a YouTube video. So it's important that you are using those platforms the way in which they are going to work best for you. So let's use Instagram as an example. Instagram is primarily within your feed going to be used in order to build brand awareness, whether you are doing static content or you are creating reels to actually attract a new audience. So when you are having your calls to action, you need your actual calls to action to be about building your brand awareness, following along, having engagement. The more engagement, the more people are actually going to see it. Your brand is going to be built. So really thinking about what the purpose is of the platform that you are using and how you are trying to utilize it. If you wanted to get direct sales, this is going to be a little bit more difficult on social media. We know that the algorithms make it difficult to get off the platforms. So with that in mind, I would most likely use Instagram stories, and I might use a poll in a story that's going to have a call to action asking them if they are potentially interested in whatever it is that I'm offering, so that when they actually answer the poll, I can then DM them with a direct link to actually purchase. But again, that call to action is going to be stronger. It's going to have a purpose behind getting that conversion. So you really want to be keeping in mind what the call to action would work properly and how you were trying to do it. And if we were to look at, let's say, a podcast or YouTube, most likely you're looking to grow your email list. So your call to action would be to grab your guide, which is part of what we talk about here on our channels. We make sure that we talk about our strategic growth guide because it is going to get you onto our email list, continue to give you more education, and allow you to understand more about the products and services and how we solve your problems. So thinking about the platform is going to be key when you are trying to decide how to best get them engaged and to actually take that action. The next piece that we need to think about as far as steps is to make sure that we are repurposing our content across platforms. In the last example, I gave you that of Instagram and potentially a YouTube or a podcast episode. What you are wanting to do, and we talk about this in great length and repurposing content, the unknown strategy for video content. But you want to start with one platform that you can repurpose that content onto multiple. Many of you have heard me talk about how I create video content, YouTube, and then from there, I pull the audio to create a podcast episode, which then gets turned into a blog post, which then feeds my email list with the education to those resources. Now, I also will use the video to pull reels for Instagram as well as shorts for YouTube so that I'm continuing to feed those platforms. Now, I also create Instagram content for static posts using the theories or strategies that I'm talking about in the episodes. So you always want to make sure that you are repurposing your content across platforms so that it is succinct and your audience continues to hear about your product and services. Because we all know that although in the past we used to say that people have to see things 6 to 8 times before they'll take action, that has greatly changed since video and reels and shorts have increased, as well as of course TikTok, with how people consume content. You have to actually be getting them onto different platforms, continuing to hear your voice, and consuming quite a bit of content before they're actually going to take any action. Now, the final step is to analyze and adjust what you are doing. You want to determine what is actually growing your email list, what is getting you engagement on social media content, and also, of course, if across YouTube, or if you are creating a blog post, getting comments, it's getting shared. You want to be able to look at the content and then be able to recreate it with different topics within those content pillars. This is why keyword research is so important, because when you do keyword research for any platform, you will often find articles or terms, I should say, that are similar to the content that you are already trying to create. So for example, this week we are creating this episode about creating content that aligns with your product. Well, you'll notice that we also in the past have talked about a unique customer, that unique value proposition, and we have content that we're going to link to for that. We also are going to build upon the customer journey in future episodes. We're going to be talking about those specific customer steps that they have to take and what those actually look like so that you can get a better idea. This is what you want to be doing with your content. You want to adjust it and continue to analyze what is going to keep your people engaging with you and more likely to convert, to getting onto your list, to actually making a sale, or reaching out directly to you. So you want to make sure that you are going back and looking at that data. It's why we talk about data so much when it comes to your actual email list. Understanding what people are clicking on and opening is going to make an impact on your bottom line for your business. If you haven't already grabbed our strategic growth plan, you're going to want to make sure that you do. It is linked for you in the description to make it simpler and easier. As always, I appreciate you so much for listening in.